It's no secret that compared to the NBA, the WNBA just isn't as lucrative or profitable. But let's talk perspective. As all through the 2000s through today, the NBA's annual revenue was in the billions, closing out the 2022 to 2023 season at nearly $11 billion, whereas the WNBA's as of 2019 was only $60 million, and in 2022 had around the same revenue, give or take, albeit more than tripling to $200 million in the subsequent season, which when you take the latest figures, the NBA was still raking in 54 times as much revenue, which I think justifies the highest salaries being in the multi-millions for the NBA for people like Steph Curry, versus Jackie Young in the WNBA being the highest salary at $252,000 per year. And of course, people start bringing up the gender pay gap. Then you have game changers like Caitlin Clark coming onto the scene, who give everything they got, and then end up tying the WNBA record for 7 three-pointers in a game, and contributing to the ticket sales breaking records as well. Then she faces hostility from her own league, like when Kennedy Carter aggressively fouled her for no reason, while appearing to mouth the B word right as she was doing it, later refusing to talk about it.
After the FIBA
I
score,
answered no Caitlin Clark questions.
did she say anything?
And then liking posts on X suggesting it was justified, and egging her on to do that again. And then when Angel Reese committed a flagrant foul, then she went to suggest that Caitlin gets special treatment.
I think we went out really strong a lot of times and we didn't get a lot of calls. And going back and looking at the film, I've seen a lot of calls that weren't made. I guess some people got a special whistle, but...
And when she lost to Caitlin Clark, that resentful tone showed as well.
Look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, like just because of one single game. I know I'll go down in history. I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
Now, they didn't directly bring race into it, but there's undeniable jealousy over somebody that's able to liven up the sport in a way that they never were able to. And then you have people like Sunny Hostin on The View that are directly implying it.
The WNBA started in 1996. First games played in 1997. It's 2024, and we're just really now talking about it. And so if Caitlin Clark is the vehicle that will bring this sport that I have loved so much and so long to little 5-year-old girls playing in Harlem, I say yes, bravo. I have no problem with that. With that being said, there is a thing called pretty privilege. There is a thing called white privilege. There is a thing called tall privilege. And we have to acknowledge that. And so part of it is about race, because if you think about the Brittany Griners of the world, you know, why did she have to go to play in Russia?
Because they wouldn't pay her.
Because they wouldn't pay her.
Because they wouldn't pay her. Not because she was black, but because they didn't believe in the WNBA.
I mean, again, if you were bringing in the same revenue that the NBA was bringing in, then they could afford to pay you more. Also, I love the fact that in her rush to chime in, Whoopi Goldberg said it has nothing to do with race. Whether or not she intended to, she actually said something that I agree with. A rare W. Continue.
Part of my point. So now, you know, Caitlin Clark is bringing this money, these sponsorships, we hope, into the league, and other players will benefit from it. But I do think that she is more relatable to more people because she's white, because she's attractive.
And then you have people like Asia Wilson from the Vegas Aces, who when talking about Caitlin Clark's fame, suggested that because Clark was white, she was getting more attention, claiming people don't see her as marketable, and that it doesn't matter how hard she works. She's always going to be swept under the rug, and that it makes her blood boil, which then got brought up with Charlamagne the God on Bill Maher.
Yeah, come on. Yeah. You think you have to be 5 times?
Yeah, when you black in America, absolutely.
In 2024?
Yeah, when you're black in America, when you're a black woman in America, absolutely.
I think that's a zombie lie.
Why?
Because I just don't think that's America anymore. Black people are very marketable.
Well, ask yourself
and
this.
she seems to have been indoctrinated into this. They don't see it as marketable, so it doesn't matter how hard I work.
Well,
I don't think that's accurate or healthy. I mean, when people come into the league and they're like the biggest thing in college, isn't that a big deal?
No, because Asia Wilson was the biggest thing when she came out of South Carolina. That's where I'm from. So she was one of the biggest things when she came out of South Carolina, #1 draft pick. And she didn't get all of that. So what do you attribute that to?
I mean, you're saying that's racism.
No, I'm not saying it's racist. I'm just saying that I think Asia Wilson has a point. And I think sometimes when, black women say certain things, we should listen, especially her, because I'm not in her shoes.
I don't know. Why was Serena Williams such a big star? Because people like that. They didn't not watch her because she was black, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So where are we with this?
I don't know.
I mean, Charlamagne does have a point to an extent. I mean, we do have to acknowledge that there's certain things that we're never going to experience that they're going to experience. As a black woman, I'm sure there are things that are harder for her. At this end, we do need to not be dismissive of people's experience. At the same time, in this particular space, there are so many people of color who are game changers. Michael Jordan, people want to be like Mike. LeBron James, I have so much respect for the guy. Aside from his politics and the fact that he likes to sit during the national anthem, but that's a conversation for a different day. Now, in the women's sporting space, you have Serena Williams, who by all accounts is a very classy woman, and I, as well as most people, have the utmost respect for her. And speaking of LeBron, he had some very nice words for her.
My advice to Caitlin, be a horseman, the Kentucky Derby, put your blinders on, go to work, show up to work, punch your clock in, prepare yourself, work on your game, work on your craft, learn from the vets, because everybody is looking for you to say anything and they're going to splice it and cut it and make it a negative thing. Like, the one thing that I love that she's bringing to her sport, more people want to watch. I saw for the first time that they had a chartered plane for the first time in their league history. They flew private. That should be celebrated in its own right. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it f***ed up. But for her individually, I don't think she should get involved on nothing that's being said. Just go have fun, enjoy.
And same with Serena Williams.
So when you see like a Caitlin Clark, what advice would you have maybe for her?
I just love that she tries to stay grounded, and she says she doesn't, what did she say? She doesn't have a social, she doesn't look at her social, and I get it. I don't either. And I think it's so important to continue to do what she's doing, and no matter what other people do, then if people are negative, it's because they can't do what you do, basically. And hopefully she'll continue to do what she's doing.
So there you have it. And this is the ultimate example of real recognizing real. People are going to want to tear you down, especially in your own supposed tribe, because they wish they could do what you're doing. And for someone like Caitlin Clark, who's not only good at what she does, but also puts a smile on people's faces, it makes her an easy target of people's frustrations. And I think this plays a part in some of these WNBA players feeling like they aren't very marketable. Their cattiness, their tearing down of other people while claiming to be about empowering. Just overall the way they present themselves. And if they took a minute to reflect, maybe they'd realize that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to this channel, hopefully I've earned a subscription. Here's some videos for you to watch in the meantime. Until next time, peace out.